Welcome to the Difference Radio Network, brought to you by thedifference.tv, where you can join us in opening humanity's heart and touching the lives of 6 billion people.
Good afternoon and welcome to Beyond the Heart. This is Jenetta Haim and it's 3 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon, Sydney time, and I'd like to welcome all my listeners again. Thank you for tuning in. I've noticed from the stats I'm getting some loyal followers out there, so once again I'd like to say thank you to those people that listen diligently every week. It's nice to see that I'm not just sitting here talking to open airways and nobody the other end. We have a very, very interesting show here today. I would like to welcome today Anya Petrovic from the Tesla Metamorphosis, which is something very, very new to me, which is why I've hesitated a little bit with the name. So welcome, Anya, to the show. Nice to see you here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm really happy to have a chance to make a little change.
Anya, I believe that you are originally from Europe. Whereabouts in Europe?
From Serbia. Once upon a time that was Yugoslavia. Now it's Serbia.
Right. And you have an extensive background in healing. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, more than 20 years I'm in healing work. Actually, around quarter century. But don't ask me how old I am.
No. As women, we never say things like that. We're always 20, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, Anya, tell me a little bit about your background in healing and how you got interested in healing when you were younger.
Well, it was just by chance. It is interesting how I was doing Reiki for 11 years. I was a Reiki master, so I was teaching and practicing Reiki. And then I was introduced in reconnective healing, and I was doing reconnective healing and assisting on doctoral seminars for 8 years.
Okay, so this is in your home country?
No, it's most of it is actually in Australia.
In Australia?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here for 20 years already.
Right, okay.
So I almost feel as an Aussie.
Okay, and what were you actually doing with Dr. Pearl?
I was practicing reconnective healing. I was very fascinated with that. And then I was assisting on his seminars and traveling around to different countries for this reason. So it was an interesting experience.
And then from that, you developed, is developed the right word for Tesla Metamorphosis where you're concerned, or how did it come about?
No, it's not the right word, actually.
What is the right word?
To find an appropriate word, I could say Tesla happened to me. Everything started almost as a fairy tale. The last thing I had in mind that I would start a new modality. You know, when I started doing reconnective healing after Reiki, it was such a huge lark. And I really, at that time, I wouldn't believe that there would be something that could be even more than reconnective healing. And let's say that it started 4 years ago. I was in Belgrade that day, and so many different things happened.
Right.
9 things happened that were telling me Tesla, Tesla, Tesla. First, I was standing by the window, and it was early in the morning, and I enjoyed watching the sun on the roofs and not thinking of anything, waiting for my client to come. And then all of a sudden, from nowhere, 2 doves appeared. They came straight to the window, and they picked the window in front of me. Then they flipped their wings as 2 little ballerinas and turned away and left. And it was a beautiful episode, but I couldn't connect it to anything.
Right.
And then the client came, and I started doing healing work. And then all at once, I heard a voice in my head. One of the things I believe you have.
When we get that
like a message,
intuitive information. Let's call it that. Yes.
Yeah, but it had a sound.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Tesla healing. You need to reconstruct Tesla healing. And I thought, what a nonsense. I mean, I knew about Tesla. I knew about Tesla as a scientist, but I really couldn't connect him to healing work. And then to reconstruct something that Tesla, a genius, have done, it really didn't make any sense to me. And I continued working, doing healing sessions, and then here it comes again. Tesla healing. You need to reconstruct Tesla healing. But I still couldn't find any logic in it. And then 9 things happened the same day. I came home and I received in mail an article written by Anya Petrovic, who writes about Tesla waves.
All right.
And then after that, well, I won't tell you all 9 things because it would be too long.
Right.
But there was a funny one. You know, I was I was repairing my mother's bathroom, and then all the floor was painted with this sticky waterproofing material.
Oh, yes.
And so I was looking for something, you know, some paper or something to put on the floor to get to the place where I wanted to get.
Right.
And I've noticed some calendar from 2006. So I ripped off 2 pages and I put them down. And then I looked. On one, there is a man with a light globe in his head. And on the other, Tesla's face. And I said, well, again, Tesla.
By this stage, they're definitely trying to get their message through. Yes. I would be sitting up and paying attention by then also.
Yeah.
Wow.
And at the end, you know, I'm a slow learner, it seems, but at the end, I got it that I need to do something about it. And I didn't know where to start from, so I decided to contact this engineer, the scientist, Goran Marjanovic, and ask him maybe he would give me some insight how Tesla could be connected to healing.
Right.
And I had prejudice like, oh, he wouldn't even bother to talk to me, you know, how scientists look down to this chiribu work. But I was pleasantly surprised that he was very happy to see me.
Excellent.
And even more, he suggested he would want to invite Professor Abramovich, who is known as the most knowledgeable person about Tesla, if I didn't mind. And could you imagine? You know,
that's a pretty positive response, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't definitely expect something like this. And they came to my office one day at 5 p.m. And we finished conversation at midnight.
Right.
They discovered Tesla, to me, they discovered Tesla I didn't know about. Because I knew about his scientific work. That is what we learned at school in Yugoslavia. That is what you don't learn about here in West.
Okay, so Anya, for those people that don't know, who is Nikola Tesla? Let's fill them in on that bit first, maybe.
I guess you know who is Edison.
And yes.
I guess you know that Marconi.
Yes,
I guess you know.
There are certain people that we do study in school.
Yeah.
For their scientific fame.
Yes. Well, everything what you know about Edison and Marconi and many others is actually Nikola Tesla. He's the one who started working with wireless first, and more and more scientists are going back to his work, and you can see more and more stuff about Nikola Tesla lately on internet because it's difficult to be controlled. What is problem with Nikola Tesla? He invented how we could use free energy, and his investors could not put a meter on it. So that is why they tried to erase his name from history. But if you go on internet, you'll find a lot of stuff.
A lot of information.
Yeah. For example, there is an article in the New York Sun from the time when he lived. He made an experiment with Aero Company that was a very famous car industry, and they took the engine out, they took the battery out. Tesla had put some 4 tubes in, and
Right.
an antenna, and the car was running 100 kilometers per an hour just using surrounding energy.
Wow.
Wow, that's
pretty
wow.
good.
And could you imagine how our world would look if we were using energy like this instead of all this unhealthy?
Yes, we wouldn't have petrol fumes. We wouldn't
Yeah,
have explosions into the ocean. We wouldn't have a lot of the destruction that we cause.
yes, yes.
Mm,
So that is Nikola Tesla,
okay.
and more people are finding out about him.
Okay, so what are Tesla waves, and what did Tesla actually do with Tesla waves?
Well, Tesla waves are waves that are different from Hertzian waves. Why they are different? Because they get stronger with the distance. Hertzian waves with distance, they get weaker. Tesla waves, they get stronger with
So for
distance.
those people that don't know what Hertzian waves are, what are they? Can we just back up a little bit so that our listeners can follow exactly what's being said?
Well, everything what we learned in physics from
Mm-hmm.
school about energy, those are actually Hertzian waves, electromagnetic waves.
Right.
Yeah. And not just electromagnetic, any waves. For example, if you are closer to the heater, you feel the heat better.
Yes.
If you are closer to a speaker,
Yeah.
you can hear it better.
Right.
So if you are further, you can't hear it that well.
Right. Okay.
With these waves, as they are further from the source, they get stronger and stronger. So I could guess that this one of the things that he worked on with these waves is how to transmit free energy. But that's my guessing. I'm not a scientist. I
Wow.
can't say that
Yeah.
for sure. But what is amazing, I got that message, Tesla healing, you need to reconstruct. And you know how some things you just know,
Yes.
but I didn't have any scientific proof that those waves or this energy that is used in Tesla Metamorphosis are actually those Tesla waves. But you know how things happen just by chance?
Yes. Yes. Part of the greater plan that we don't understand. Yes.
Yeah. And so I really do not believe that anything's by chance. So just by chance, I was planning actually to go to London to Dr. Oldfield to make images with PIP cameras during the healing sessions. But then just by chance, it happened that Dr. Professor Ljubo Ristovski from Belgrade, from the Institute for Bioenergetic Research,
Yes.
works with PIP camera as well.
Right.
And then just by chance, I have found an article. That is how I found about this Professor Ristovski. I have found an article about a mountain in Serbia, which turned to be a pyramid. And Professor Ristovski made some PIP camera images of this mountain,
Right.
actually pyramid. If you go on my website, you can see the image of this mountain and some purple colors, like waves coming from the top of the mountain. And scientists were measuring the energy there, and it turned that this energy is weaker close to the top of the mountain and stronger away from the mountain.
Okay.
So they assumed that this mountain, actually this pyramid, is a receiver. But then it just happened that engineer Marianovic was in this group of scientists, and just by chance he had his Tesla amplifier with extra coil
Right.
that he reconstructed strictly following instructions from Tesla's notes. And this amplifier can broadcast those Tesla waves that get stronger with distance. So he switched on the amplifier and he demonstrated to all scientists that there are waves that can get stronger with distance, and that this pyramid might be broadcasting those waves, not receiving them. But for me, this article was telling me that I could check whether this my fairy tale is true.
Right.
So I rang Professor Marjanovic and said, look, I do believe that I work with Tesla waves because they also get stronger with distance. I can notice that because the clients, they have some involuntary movements, and for example, the most common one, thing of their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I put my hand away, these movements become more frequent, which would tell me that maybe the waves are getting stronger when I put my hand away.
I see what you're saying. So when you're closer, the reaction is not as intense. Therefore, you've come to that conclusion. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can follow that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, he came and he was making photos with big camera one day, and he was making photos the other day. He was not telling anything. And then the third day, he invited me to see at his laptop. And he pointed, look, this is Tesla amplifier with extra coil. You see those purple colors around Tesla amplifier? They present Tesla waves.
Right.
And look at the images of the sessions that we made photos of. There is an identical purple color that presents Tesla waves in the images of Tesla Metamorphosis sessions.
Right.
So actually now we had not black on white, but colorful on white, that energy that we use in Tesla Metamorphosis are actually Tesla waves.
Mm-hmm.
And also what was pretty fascinating, he said that there was no other modality that they worked on, and that he even checked with Professor Dr. Oldfield from London, who constructed PIP camera. So according to Professor Istovsky, no other modality has those purple colors that are characteristic for Tesla waves, but Tesla Metamorphosis.
Right. So for our listeners, you've mentioned the PIP camera several times.
Mm-hmm.
So could you please explain about the PIP camera so that, quite often with these type of modalities, we get a lot of people that are skeptical and they're saying, well, let's prove it. Now,
Yeah.
we're talking here, for the record, everyone, a camera, okay? Now,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is enough proof for some of you out there, but it's certainly enough proof for me. So, Anya, the PIP camera is specifically designed to do what?
To make photos or movies of energy field, and it's real time. So, for example, we were making images in one after another.
Right.
And then you can see the movement of the energy.
And these images are on your website?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody can see that. And this PIP camera is much more precise than Kirlian camera that they were using in scientific work.
Right,
before.
Which, by the way, for the record, I believe was around for many, many years, since the 1930s?
Don't ask me for years.
In my color healing course, I have got it down in a book somewhere. So if you want to research that, you can get onto Google and have a look and verify those years for yourself. So, Anya, tell me, Tesla Metamorphosis is a healing modality. What does it do?
You know how it is scientifically proven that each cell radiates light.
Mm-hmm.
So healthy young cell radiates vibrant, strong light.
Right.
And with sick or old cell, this light diminishes.
Yes.
So it seems that Tesla waves are bringing this light to the perfect balance. You have heard of Otto Warburg, a Nobel Prize winner. He said that Tesla coil is like a cell amplifier, and that each cell has a battery in itself. So it seems here as if Tesla Metamorphosis practitioner acts as Tesla coil. Also, if you go on my website, you can see a chart made by a young scientist, Boris Petrovic, where he illustrated how Tesla made Tesla coil according to the energy centers in human.
Right. So we're talking chakras here.
Chakras
Mm-hmm.
and axiotonal lines.
Mm-hmm.
So Tesla, I think his geniusity was because he was able to monitor and watch what is happening in nature and copy that into machines.
Right. So how do you use this with your clients? Tell me what actually happens. Take the listeners through what actually occurs for me, please.
Well, I was mentioning Tesla coil and so on and so on, but what for me very exciting, we access those Tesla waves directly from the field, or how Tesla would call it, from active ether.
Right.
That's what we call the field now. He used to call active ether. So there are no machines involved, and simply we can access these energies, these frequencies of energy. So somebody might ask, how comes if those frequencies were all used in nature, how comes that we couldn't access them earlier? Because according to Professor Istovsky and the Institute, there is no other modality that uses those frequencies of energy. So I was trying to find a logical explanation, and it seems to me as our consciousness elevates, the frequency of our consciousness is elevated, the more it is available for us. You know how we can see a certain spectrum of color, and below and above we can't, or we can hear some decimals from, don't ask me for numbers, from and to.
For sound, yes.
And below and higher we can't. The same way we can't compute or notice things we are blocked in our third-dimensional or four-dimensional world. But once the frequency of our consciousness evolves, we can access more.
Okay, so when you're with a client, what happens? Like in a scenario, so someone comes to see you, and then what?
It's very simple. It's so simple that some students think that they've missed something. They lay on the massage table on their back, and I wave hands around them. Actually, I listen to my hands and I play with my hands. And the more I play as a kid and not focus on anything, the better. It might not sound logical to you, but because in Orthodox medicine, it is very important to have a good diagnosis. But here it is opposite, because there is obviously a higher intelligence at work here.
Yes.
So if I would, for example, know that you have problems with your kidneys, and I focus to heal your kidneys, I would actually limit the healing. For example, when you have a headache, you take an aspirin.
Yes.
And the headache is gone. But the cause of the headache, which might be stress or might be sinuses,
or digestion,
or whatever, is still there.
It's not gone. Yes. People have a lot of difficulty understanding this. I find this with my clients too. They'll come for something, and being a Reiki practitioner, like you, I don't go specifically to the area that they've told me about. I go to wherever the Reiki directs me to go to. Yes. So I know exactly where you're coming from with what you just said. So please continue.
So energy goes where it's needed. And also there is some high intelligence at work there. If we go back to PIP camera images, if somebody goes on my website, you can see a photo of a massage table. I'm not there, client is not there, but you can already see those purple colors in the field. It means to me, I might be wrong, but it means to me as if the intention brings them here.
So
Or actually,
it's been prepared in some sense
yes,
for them.
yes. And also, maybe that's a digression, but when they made PIP camera images of this Tesla amplifier with extra coil, it is noticed that even when the amplifier is switched off, these frequencies stay in the field for quite a long time, which is absolutely different from any other energy source.
Right.
Like you switch on off the light, there is no field, no energy around it.
Yet, by comparison, you're saying that after some time, the color and the frequency would disappear.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So therefore, we need to logically deduce in some way that it's coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
Even for the greatest skeptic out there.
Yeah, Tesla used to say that there is an endless source of energy everywhere around us, and that we will be able, he lived in 19th century, that we will be able to use it not just for healing, but also for powering our machines. And that is what he exactly did. For example, with this car, with the experiment with Aero Company.
Right. It's amazing, actually, when you think of it, and you've actually got me thinking now about the potential of what we could do. I mean, we're talking about a green planet, and
Yes.
and you know, finding other forms of energy. And here is this man, so many years ago, talking about the same thing, and
Not just talking, he was doing it.
doing it, and of course, as usual, a lot of this stuff gets buried because, well, free energy. There's no money in free energy, is
Yeah,
there?
they can't put meter on it. They
Yes.
can't charge us for
Yes.
it. So
Yes.
it's not good.
Well, it's good for the planet. It's good for us. It's not good for the pocket, and it would mean we would have to change the way we think about living. And that is exactly what's needed right now.
And I hope that that is what's going to happen in this.
Well, there's a big push for it, isn't it, all over the world? And I mean, even radio shows like The Difference show that we're doing now, it's come about for a reason. Perhaps part of that bigger plan, I'm sure of, for this to be a better planet for us, for our children, for our grandchildren, and for the universe as a whole, and wherever we fit into that picture.
Definitely.
So, okay, so what is the meaning of the purple color? Do we know what that purple color means?
Well, I came to some conclusion. Dr. Professor Lyuboristovsky was not ready to comment on it because he calls himself an orthodox scientist. So he would have to have 1,000 experiments before he comes out with some statement.
Exactly, yes.
But I don't know whether you have heard about Swami Vivekananda.
Oh, yes, very much so from my background.
Yeah, Tesla and Vivekananda were friends, and they respected highly each other.
Wow.
And there is a letter written by Swami Vivekananda. He wrote to one of his colleagues in India about visit to Tesla's laboratory. He said for Tesla that he is the most spiritual man he ever met in Western world.
Wow.
And also what he said, it was very interesting. He said that in different colors of light in his laboratory, he could see all their gods, Shiva and Vishnu, and even he felt the presence of Brahma. And also one thing that is especially interesting for me, he said that Tesla was talking to his lights as if they were some conscious beings.
Right.
So that is telling me that he was very much aware about the intelligence of those energies that he was working with.
But by what you've said just now, Anya, you've brought to my mind the work that people are doing with orbs, and there are so many people here that we can't all be, for the skeptics, we can't all be under the influence of some sort of hypnotic drug or something. There has to be something in this, and of course there are many experiments being done all over the world regarding this. So you're saying that this is particularly interesting for me because my background is in Eastern philosophies, and I've done a lot of Indian studies. And of course, as we know, the Indian culture, a lot of it, we don't even know what it is anymore because it was so huge what they did in the Vedic culture and their whole language and philosophy of living. And now we have put it under a new name, under discussions of consciousness or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah,
but
there's
nothing new age about it. It's thousands
yeah.
of years old.
Yeah, yes. That's exactly what it is. And by the way, Tesla said that Vedant philosophy could be the only theory that could entertain modern science. So he was very much aware of the value of these ancient knowledges.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And actually, I didn't tell you the whole story when I said that the Tesla Metamorphosis happened to me that day in Belgrade. It is very interesting that in 2001, I had a sudden urge to go to India. I even didn't know where I was going. I heard myself saying 6 o'clock in the afternoon, I must go to India. And at 2 o'clock next day, I was on a plane.
How cool is that?
Well, my husband would not share your opinion, but
it's very spontaneous and very adventurous.
Yeah, and you know where I ended? I ended in Sai Baba's ashram.
Oh, really?
Yes. And it was in 2001.
Yes.
And in 2009, which means 9 years later, I was doing first seminar in Tesla Metamorphosis seminar, and one of my students had forwarded to me an email from Italy where there was a part from a book published in Italy where Sai Baba says, I brought you an angel, Nikola Tesla.
Wow.
To improve your destiny and help you and so on and so on. And I was, oh my gosh, 9 years ago, I was going to India, to Sai Baba, which I wasn't really, I even didn't know much about him. I didn't know I was going to Sai Baba. And I realized that I went there because of Nikola Tesla. And if somebody told me Sai Baba and Nikola Tesla, I would say, oh, come on.
What an amazing connectedness.
Yes. Synchronicity.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really, really something. And we walk around in our daily lives sometimes steeped in separateness.
Yeah.
Without that thought and that realization. And it's only
awareness.
when it's only when we take these quiet moments, as on this show now, to reflect that that actually comes out. And I'm sure if our listeners do the same thing, they will find there are things in their lives that do match up and do tie in, and there is a greater picture for their lives.
Yes.
Which, if you can plug into that will help very much with your own personal empowerment for those people listening out there. And that is what I like to encourage people to do, to explore their journey and not see it as something separate, but where does it connect? How does it connect? What is my purpose? What is my destination? And I say that in inverted commas because our destination is never really what it seems, is it?
Well, it's more about the journey than the destination.
Exactly.
Yeah, but let's go back to this purple color and meaning of the purple color. So as I mentioned, as I found out that Tesla respected highly the teaching of Swami Vivekananda, I said, well, I should go and learn a bit more about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I Googled Vivekananda and teaching, and I found that ashram is somewhere far, far away. I said, oh, nothing of that. Then I pressed the button in events, and it turned it almost around the corner from my house.
I knew
just
you were going to
by
say that.
chance.
Yes.
There is Swami coming each Tuesday teaching Vivekananda.
Wow.
And just by chance, he is a relative of Vivekananda. So I was attending the classes, and among other things, I learned about a meditation, special meditation that yogis were doing with purpose of elevating their consciousness.
Right.
So they would start from basic chakra to sexual, navel, heart, and so on, up to the
Yes.
7 main chakras. And according to Swami, not many yogis would reach the level of crown chakra.
Right.
So I was watching the PIP camera images of all other modalities, and then the predominant color is green color. And green color is the color of heart chakra.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes sense because there is no healing without heart, without love.
Yes.
So also, if you watch images of sessions of Tesla Metamorphosis, you will notice that there is a lot of green color there,
Yes.
even more intense. But in Tesla Metamorphosis, there is also this purple color, and this is the color of crown chakra, which tells me that those waves are bringing us to the level of crown chakra just straight, without meditating for hours, without discipline, with our diet and everything that yogis had to undergo.
So are you saying that this is part of some sort of transformation?
Yes, and that is why I call it metamorphosis.
Mm-hmm.
And in Tesla Metamorphosis 2 seminar, I do with my students something that is called distant healing with communication, where each student manages to get in communication with clients on the level of conscious mind,
Right.
subconscious mind, integrative mind. The practitioners, they get to the source and back. And this fact, because it's not, for example, there are 45 students in the class and they're not clairvoyant or something. I'm
Right.
not clairvoyant.
Mm-hmm.
And each of them can do it. So the only explanation I could have is that those Tesla waves actually help us elevate our consciousness. I didn't mention a channel text that I've received. There is one young girl in Serbia who channels Estella from, as she says, Constellation Grui. And in this channel text, there is the whole theory and philosophy behind Tesla Metamorphosis. At the moment when I received it, I didn't get it because I was doing reconnective healing then, and I was trying to connect it to reconnective healing. But now I can understand. And one of the things Estella talks about, what is the difference between the way humans think and the way higher light beings think. She says, we think linearly.
Yes.
So there is past, present, and future. But time and space are multidimensional.
Yes.
And we can't access those other dimensions in our state of mind. But as our mind gets to the higher frequency, we can access more and more and more. And I teach Tesla Metamorphosis for 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And each time and each year something new happens. Each year new things are coming up. On that experiment, Professor Isovsky made images of auras of all students. And all of them had that purple, predominant purple color in their auras. And purple color is not a usual color
In other words, it's changed their vibration in some way.
Yes.
So Anya, tell me, before the show we were talking about some new phenomena that is happening here compared to other modalities. Can you tell us a little bit about this, please?
Yeah, apart to Tesla wave, sometimes there is light that appears around clients during the session, And then on some seminars, for example, in Belgrade and in Montenegro, it happened that, you know how we have orbs in
Yes,
photos?
yes.
Well, there were balls of light that were traveling on a stage and stood next to me, and they were visible with naked eyes.
So the people in the seminar could actually see this.
Yes. Or also last year in Canada, there was a huge white wall in the hall, and colors appeared on the wall, purple and green and blue, like rainbow colors, and there was no source of light that could create them.
And the people that were in the room could see it.
Yeah, everybody could see it. And I even
Okay.
made a photo, and there is a photo of balls of light in Belgrade, and you could see one student stood in surprise.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Right.
and colors on the wall in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And then also there is something that we noticed at PIP camera images, and that according to Professor Ristovsky is absolutely new. There are some spheric lights that are moving around, and I don't know whether those are light being angels or just some energy. I just don't
Right.
have explanation, but as we made photos in sequence, you can see how this light is moving. And if you look at PIP camera images on my website, you can even see one where you can see the shadow of my hand as if a reflector was on the other side.
Right.
So this is pretty new.
Yes, yes, yes. And for people to be able to see that without having done any training in how to see auras or anything like that, it's phenomenal. And you've actually brought to my mind the idea that perhaps while this is going on, in fact, the consciousness of the people observing is being raised automatically,
Yes.
so that they're able to do that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And that's so exciting, and that keeps me going because there is always new. And you know, at my age, I became a curious kid again. And I'm
Yes.
so happy because of that, because there is always something new happening.
It's wonderful, and it's wonderful to know that our modalities of healing are progressing in themselves,
Yeah.
and growing in themselves, which it's the promise of a greater future for all of us. So tell me, you mentioned the class. Now, how do people get involved in your classes? What do they, you must be getting people from everywhere for these classes. What do they actually do in a class? How long is a class? What are the mechanics of a class?
Well, the beautiful about this Tesla Metamorphosis is that everybody can do it, and
Mhm.
everybody can learn how to access those frequencies and work with them. And yeah, I will be having classes in March, on 9th of March.
This is in Sydney?
Yes, in Sydney.
All right. Whereabouts in Sydney?
In Forest Art Community Centre.
Right. So if people want to know about these classes, they can go onto your website?
Yeah, they can go on my website,
Right.
and they can register on my website as well.
Right. Okay. And where else do you run classes, Anya?
This year I will go in 12 countries.
Wow.
I will go to Canada, to Germany, Croatia, Slovenia, Bali, Russia, Macedonia, Serbia.
Wow. So, even countries that, well, actually, that you've just proved what I said before, in a sense that people are interested in this kind of healing, and it is expanding, and we are becoming more conscious of the way we handle the planet and what we do in terms of the planet and ourselves, and becoming more empowered, and our consciousness is changing. And anyone that's listening to this show, you've already got a bias in this direction. So I'm sure we've got a lot of people out there that are agreeing with us at this point in time. So tell me, yes.
I'm surprised myself how fast it expands. Now I think my website is translated or being translated in 10 languages.
Wow.
And, there are more and more people inviting me to different
To
places.
come and speak.
And to teach. And I hope that soon I'll have more people that will be able to teach this, because I'm too small for the whole world. And yeah.
Well, it's very important, isn't it, that our modality and whatever we've done with our modality, I mean, every single one of us, even as a Reiki practitioner, I mean, I learned Reiki from my teacher, but I've noticed as the years have gone by and I've done Reiki, things have changed and expanded, and no one is a carbon copy of somebody else, and it becomes like a growing journey in that modality. And for that to live on, there need to be people to learn it for it to live on too. So it's very, very important. So tell me, with your seminars, you're going out there to different countries, you're healing a lot of people out there, which, I mean, it's self-explanatory how that is making the difference in the world. Tell me, do any particular people come to mind in terms of that have come to you for healing, and how have they been helped by this? Let's let the listeners hear what can be done.
Well, with Tesla Metamorphosis, everything is possible. Just everything is possible, though we can't guarantee anything, because, as I said, there is some high intelligence at work there. It's not me doing something very clever.
Right.
But majority of people get the healings they expect. And
so you have people with all different kinds of illnesses, I presume.
All different kinds, and many illnesses that are considered as non-curable by orthodox medicine are actually, I have experience and reports from clients that they were healed from cancer, from AIDS, from chronic fatigue syndrome.
Right.
And what is the most amazing for me, and what actually tells me how those frequencies affect our DNA, even physical injuries of spine can be healed. Or I had some people who had birth deformities and they were corrected. So, for example, if you go onto my website and listen to some testimonials, you can hear a mother of a young girl, she was 21, who had birth deformity. One side of her rib cage was much smaller than the other.
Right.
And her spine was twisted because of that. And you can hear her mother saying how the doctor of her daughter was amazed how only in 2 months, since he saw her previously, this side of the rib cage had developed to be equal to the other, and her spine was almost completely straight. So even bones can grow.
Yes, yes.
So when I say everything's possible, I really truly believe in it. I have experienced it.
So we've talked about the Tesla waves, and we touched on the word intention. If you had to attempt to define in some way what is happening there with this particular girl's healing and with other people's healing, what would you say? Would you say that it is the channeling factor of what is coming through you from the higher beings and the higher consciousness, and the waves that are involved because of that? Would you say it is the intention of the person, or would you say it is a combination of everything? What can you leave us with for the listener out there who is looking to get their head around something which cannot really be described in finite words?
Well, my clever answer is, I don't know. I'm obviously invited there to be a part of this equation. What exactly my role is, or the role of any practitioner, I really don't know exactly. It seems as if there is a kind of agreement between the person on a table and this higher intelligence.
Right.
And it seems that is how it all happens, because we I believe in karma. So we get our illnesses for a reason.
Yes.
This is
yes.
how our body talks to us and tell us, act, do something. So what exactly it is happening there, I really don't know, but it seems that there is agreement between this high intelligence, because with my logic, I have finished 3 universities, none of them helps me a bit in this healing. Yeah, our logical mind that we were proud of for centuries, when we realized, I was a bit late to say, I know that I don't know anything. You know, this guy from Barrel, he said that before me. Yeah, but that all is very interesting. Also, what is interesting, people don't need to believe in it.
Right.
It's more communication on the level of emotion, on the heart level than on the mind level.
Yes.
Really, I had a funny situation. A couple came, and while 3 of us were chatting in the living room, everything was nice and polite. And then when I went with the gentleman into healing room, he told me, I just want you to know that I don't believe in all that, let's say, rubbish.
Yes.
He used some
yes.
other word. And you're not going to fool me, but my crazy wife brought me here. And I said, well, okay, but I mean, when you are already here and you're paying for it, just lay on a table and just imagine that you have half an hour for a rest, and whatever happens. And he received healing. He had prostate tumor.
Right.
And he was honest enough when he came for the next session to admit to me that he had no problems with urinating anymore, which is, you know. Yeah. And then after 3rd session, he went for a checkup and there was no tumor there.
Amazing.
So, and he definitely didn't believe.
That's that's exactly, you know, I mean, we talk about proof, and you know, as I've said many times before, and I've been known to say it on this show, I'm not a scientist, and I suppose I would classify myself as a healer because I do energetic healing as well as the mainstream hypnotherapy, and I'm a nutritionist, etc. But when a client walks in the door and they feel better and something, whether it be a cyst or a tumor or whatever, is gone,
yeah,
what more proof do we need? And this is what I really don't understand with a lot of the tests that are going on out there. The person's better. Like,
yes.
Give it a rest. You know, what proof do we need apart from the fact that people are getting well, that people are becoming empowered, that they're able to move on with their lives, that they're able to have a life where perhaps, you know, in the past they would not have been. And that is what is important. So what other proof do we need?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's again like with the energy. Free energy was not accepted because they couldn't put meter on it. Now we have the problem with pharmaceutical industry.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's another subject.
It is another subject. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I can see we're also coming very close to the clock and running out of time. So I would like to thank you, Anya, for coming along today for a very interesting show about a subject which I myself knew very little about. I'm a little bit more informed now. Pleasure having you on the show, and I wish you the best of luck. And I think it's very exciting what you're doing, and very exciting to be going around the world with it.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right then. Well, look, I'm looking forward next week. We've got another exciting show coming up. Thank you everybody for listening. I hope you guys have all enjoyed the show as much as I have enjoyed doing it and listening to what Anya's got to say about this wonderful modality. And I'll be seeing you next week at 3 p.m. same time, same place, Sydney time. Take care.
Bye for now from the Difference Radio Network. Thank you for joining us in opening humanity's heart and touching the lives of 6 billion people.